Good morning, everyone. How y'all feeling? Y'all a little dry in here, okay? I need y'all to give us more energy than that. How are y'all feeling? Now, we know one thing about HBCUs is that we carry some pride that everybody else just don't have. So don't embarrass us in this room, okay? And I want to just, first of all, thank all of you for being here. Thank you for sacrificing a couple of hours on your time on this Saturday. You could be anywhere else, but you are in this room, empowering yourself, pouring into yourself, and also supporting all of these beautiful businesses in this room. So let's give yourselves a round of applause. I'd also like to thank the entire Venture for Them team. Let's give them a round of applause for another wonderful summit. We are very much so appreciate the presence in this room. And everything that they have contributed to HBCU students, alumni, over the last couple of years. We also cannot go without thanking every one of our sponsors, because guess what? This cannot be done without the funds, y'all. So thank you to our sponsors in the room, but a huge thank you to our title sponsors, Wells Fargo. Let's give them another round of applause. So I bring greetings as a Howard University alumni. I remember sitting in these rooms just like each and every one of you about a decade ago as I was completing my degree. And one thing that was very, very important to me was one, the power of networking, but also two, the power of mentorship. And it is an honor for me to stand before you today on this stage with two of my mentors. I started my career in the financial services industry a decade ago this year. And the crazy thing about it is that all it took was somebody just giving me a chance. My degree was in broadcast journalism, y'all, so finances was not in the back of my mind at all. But there was a man named Mr. Ben James who was in that panel interview when I was interviewing for a 20-hour part-time teller position as I ended my junior year at Howard University. Ben gave me that yes. And here we are a decade later, where I am serving, pouring into entrepreneurs, pouring into students just like you, and being able to provide financial education across the country. So thank you, Ben James. And then,
give it up for Lyndsae. Did y'all hear about her journey? Give it up for her.
And then in 2017, I met this young lady named Traci, Horne, and I was like, listen, you're going to be my mentor, okay? And here we are. Many, many years later, I get to sit on this stage with them and to interview them, to ask them some questions so that they can then pour that information back into each and every one of you. Are y'all ready for this panel? Yes. Listen, what we say about energy, okay? Because I'm going to feed it off y'all. Are y'all ready for this panel? Yes. All right. So we're going to turn over to our panelists. Let's first start off with an introduction. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do what you do?
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Traci, and I am the Senior Philanthropy and Community Impact Leader for Maryland. And what I do is I invest in nonprofits who align with Wells Fargo's priorities. And those priority focuses happen to be financial health, small business growth, sustainability, and housing access and affordability. And what I mean I invest in nonprofits, our nonprofits are doing some amazing work in order to make things happen in our communities. So in order for them to make it happen, they would need grant funding. So from that standpoint, that is where I partner with them. In addition to partnering with nonprofit organizations, I also volunteer. That means I show up. So it's not just about writing a check. It's about making sure that my clients know that I'm available. My clients know my passion. My clients know my heart. And they know that I care. So, and Wells Fargo, we care. I have partners who also volunteer. But as Lyndsae has stated, I'm giving you my current career, but I started as a part-time teller. And I worked my way to school. Now I'm wearing North Carolina Central University. I'm sorry, not North Carolina Central University shirt. So I am HBCU. So can I get a little bit of love for my HBCU? only school in state, and I graduated from Towson State University. But for my college career, I worked my way through school. Went to school during the day, was a teller at night, graduated, and worked my way up the ladder in banking. So from customer service to being a manager to facilitating financial education for 16 years. And then I was blessed with the opportunity from my mentor, who saw me and shared with me the door that opened for philanthropy. And here we are today.
Ben James Brown, it's a country first name, but I got it from my grandfather, and so I'm the third. Been with Wells Fargo, this year will be 25 years, so a really long time. I started my career at Wells Fargo at San Jose State University, and it was crazy. I was a CSSR. I really liked helping people, and so I was this little annoying guy who, when I got the tools to arm myself financially, was going to all the students talking about, did you read your disclosure? Don't get that credit card. Folks didn't like me that much on campus, especially vendors who came out. But it was eye-opening for me because of some of the mistakes that I had made financially to join this firm. And then later, 25 years later, be able to do what I'm doing today. My role as the Focus Communities Program Manager is a national role. I serve HBCUs specifically to strengthen the financial capacity and competitiveness of HBCUs and their students with financial education, wealth building tools, and community partnerships. I love doing this work. I have a son who attends Morehouse. He is now in the Navy. Clap right there. Yeah, so I love it so much that that's what I push for every single day. A community that is there for each other. Without this community, we wouldn't have a lot of the greats that we have in this nation. And so you all make up so much strength, that we have as a country. And what I do here at Wells Fargo is just a small part of trying to help folks climb that ladder, try to help them move forward and be a better person, especially when you think about finances. We can't do anything. It's a common language across the world. We can't do anything without money. And you can have $1 million and have $1 million in debt and be broke. And it happens so often. And so financial education is the key. And that's why Traci and myself and Lyndsae, we're here to support students like you.
Thank you both so much for your insight, and congratulations to you both on such wonderful careers. You both have had a very long time at Wells Fargo. You both have had several roles at Wells Fargo. How does Wells Fargo currently continue to foster career growth and professional development?
Sure. So I am always learning. I've never turned down an opportunity to grow. Right now I'm actually taking some courses at Boston College for corporate citizenship and strategy. Last year, my company did the same thing and put me in a cohort around CSR, social responsibility. I never miss out on an opportunity to learn and better myself, no matter how old I get. Funny story, when I think about Wells Fargo, because both the leaders at Wells Fargo have pushed me to continue to elevate myself. They actually paid, for me to get my degree in business, and so it's been a fruitful career for me. I'm thinking about my mom, who at the age of 52 graduated from college. And all it took for her was some encouragement, from me and siblings to say that it's never too late for you to finish. What I love about this company, or working for this company, are the leaders, who work in this company, who say that it's never too late for you to accomplish your goal. However, you have to let us know that that is what you want. So we have just a palette of things that individuals can do. If you want to start at the bank as a teller, when I think about Lyndsae, all it takes is a conversation to say, this is what I want to do. And we put you on that career track and giving you some nuggets that you can take or leave so that you can help elevate yourself. But I think the key, not only with this company, but any company, that you're with, is to ask for the assistance and then see what cards unfold.
And I just want to piggyback on what James is actually saying. I think for which has a number of resources that you have to take that time to invest in yourself with the in-house resources that they make available. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is mentorship is very key. I mean, you see yourself, you may not know the direction that you're actually going. So you may or may not see yourself in a position, but we have not because we've asked not. Do not hesitate to make sure you reach out and have those conversations. Like Lyndsae said, I'm your mentor. I have mentors that I just ask Lyndsae and I say to them, I need you to be my mentor. So make sure you ask for what you need, because there's always someone who's in a position who's more than willing to help you to get you where you need to be. So, like I said, in combination with the programs that are available, internship opportunity, we have early career training programs that are available. But that mentorship, that network, I have a mentee and he says that your net worth is your network. So that means making sure you gotta reach out. My mentees over there, Joe, give him away. That's Joe, y'all. That's my mentee. Each one teach one.
Thank you both for that. And I asked that question because sometimes we say yes to a company just for the check because we have bills and we have responsibilities. However, you want to also make sure that you're saying yes to a company who is willing to invest in you. You are the asset and you cannot forget that. And one of the things I value the most about my former career at Wells Fargo was that I had people to invest in me. Now, did I also help myself? Yes, because you have to lead in and go for what you want. But people are so much more willing to help you when they see that you are trying to help yourself. Over my 4-year time span at Wells Fargo, I was in 4 different roles. I started as a part-time teller in 2015. In 2016, after I graduated later that year, I got promoted to a CSSR, which is a dual role between the teller and the banker. That next year, I became a personal banker, and that next year, I became a business specialist. But I was hustling, right? I had a vision, I had a goal for myself, and I knew that in order to be somewhere different, sometimes you gotta do things a little bit differently as well. So something else that's important, especially on campus, there are so many different student clubs, right? Sometimes you feel like, oh, I don't wanna volunteer my extra hours where I could be doing this thing to invest in this club, but sometimes you don't realize that that's a stepping stone to also being active in what we call employee resource groups when you do land that job. So I know that you both have led in employee resource groups at Wells Fargo. Can you share a little bit more about those experiences, but also how being a part of an ERG can truly positively impact someone's career?
Yeah, so in the past, a long time ago, we had this employee resource group called Checkpoint. It's now the Black African American Connection. And I didn't know, let me see, my family, we were always talking about where we were from and know who you are. But I didn't know as much as I knew until I joined this organization back at Wells Fargo. First, knowing that a company created an ERG for you so that there were people who you could identify with, that you could feel comfortable talking in a safe room, number one, that wowed me. But being able to participate in that and then cross over and participate in like the Latin Connection, where back in Nevada, where I was at the time, they only spoke Spanish in their meetings, which pushed me. You know, I knew a little bit of Spanish, but when I came there, I was expected to learn and embrace their culture, which opened up my worldview to a lot of things that I might have been ignorant to. And I love that the company had created these ERGs, not only to create comfortability, but to widen worldview so that you don't think that everyone is the same and that you can find, but that you can find commonalities and differences. My old boss always used to say, when he was young, he was talking to this guy from Texas, and he looked at the guy and said, wow, you really, I like your accent, because the guy talked with twang, and the guy looked at him and said, I like your accent too. You know, they both were two different people from two different parts of town, but just because we are this way doesn't mean that someone else has to be that way. It's important to embrace that other culture. With the ERGs at Wells Fargo, we give our employees an opportunity to do just that.
And if I can just throw it out there, for me, the Employee Resource Network was a development piece for me. The regional president, his name is Clarence Campbell. He actually asked me if I was interested in a leadership role, so I actually was the pioneering chair for our Black African American team member network in Maryland. So I always say you gotta go and you have to grow. So that was really challenging because when you start talking about a network of like individuals, is it safe? Is it okay to have those conversations? You know, bringing folks on board and collaboratively coming together with a group of your own. Sometimes folks feel like, well, is that something we should be doing here? But it's amazing that if you find a company that's willing to do that, they recognize that diversity is important. And in addition to the diversity, as Ben James had mentioned, I'm a part of Pride, I'm a part of the Women's, I'm part of the Asian Americans. So it allows you, because I say diversity sets us apart, but our diversity also brings us together. So making sure that we have an understanding of what other cultures have in mind or what they're doing. So I really enjoy being a part of that process so that we can collaboratively, collectively come together, and we can also do a lot of volunteerism together as well. But even what's more important is building a network.
That's very important, and I don't want you all to miss those nuggets because really your activation starts now. So as you see that student club, right, that you may have some interest in, join. Pick up a leadership role because those skills are transferable and you're going to be able to use those skills, those resources, those connections that you make now for the rest of your life. And I can promise you that I'm literally a testament to that. You both mentioned a lot about service, and I know that you both serve on lots of boards. We volunteer all across the place. So tell us about that. Tell us about your experience serving on nonprofit boards, and how do you feel like that helps to develop you as a professional?
So I'm going to go back again. You're going to find when I speak, there is someone who helped me get to my next. So I'm going to bring up Clarence Campbell again. He at the time was the chair for the Greater Baltimore Urban League. My first board position was through him. And in turn, I had an opportunity to see the active engagement of what the first of all, I didn't even know what a Greater Baltimore Urban League was. And so if you're not familiar with Greater Baltimore Urban League, or you're not familiar with an NAACP, how do you know what's going on in the community? How do you know what changes that they're actually making? So being able to be a part of these organizations, being able to volunteer. This year we had an opportunity to pass out turkeys within the community. Those little things of helping us in our marginalized communities, it's a sense of pride, but it's also a sense of belonging, and it gives you a sense of making a difference. So being a part of a board where you also help as far as creating strategic plans, as far as what activations need to actually happen within the communities. Maybe it needs to be a workforce development initiative, or maybe it needs to be a development program as far as budgeting and savings. So in turn, then Wells Fargo comes on board and can utilize my services. So again, reaching out to the community through organizations, nonprofit organizations, we're making a difference. So I've learned a lot about being a part of the board, and the great thing about also being a part of the board or any committee is the unique experience of having a seat at the table. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Shirley Chisholm, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but she says if you're not having a seat at the table, then you need to pull up a chair. That means get engaged. Find a way that you can be a part of the process so that you can be a trailblazer, a game changer, and be actively involved as well.
By show of hands, how many folks are a part of the board? And those of you in the back, come on in the room. It's like church. Come on in the room, have a seat. How many of you, by show of hands, are a part of the board? All right, that's good. How many are you a part of like an advisory board? A community group, a fraternity, a sorority? All right, so if you're not, the one thing that I want you to remember is we all have one thing in common in this world, that's 24 hours, right? The thing that differentiates us is what we do in that 24 hours. And being a part of some of these organizations allow you to get into some of the doors that you might miss out on an opportunity to get into. So it's not just about being at the table so that you can be a decision maker, but it's about giving you perspective and insight. You know, things that will literally change your world. I've been a part of several boards, you know, over the past decades, and I'll tell you, it's been a fulfilling position. But the one thing that I always think about with whatever board I decide to be a part of is, am I doing something that I am passionate about? You know, I come from a musical background. I was a sign artist when I was younger before I came on to Wells Fargo, and so I love music, I love theater, I love dance, and so when I first became a board member on my first board here in DC with Young Playwrights Theater, it was because of playwriting. Now, I didn't just join because of me, I joined because my son at the time, he wanted to get more into playwriting, and he's a writer. He went to film, you know, he went into film at Morehouse, and I wanted to make sure that he had that exposure. So I leveraged my board membership to help him out. The same with DC Scores. I'm a board member for them right now. The 100 Black Men, Alpha Phi Alpha, everything that I've been a part of are things that I know would contribute positively, not only to me, but to my loved ones, because I'm thinking, you know, forward. And I'm also trying to optimize time that I might not have that 24 hours in a day. And so how can I leverage some of these relationships to help move the needle forward?
That's important, and I know sometimes in hustle society, we think that everything needs to have a dollar sign attached to it, but that's not true. And sometimes you may contribute your time, your energy now, and there may be a check a few years down the line, but because you are willing to invest yourself, put yourself in certain positions, people will remember you, and I want you guys to hold on to that. So I'm sure a lot of the students in the room, they want to know, how does Wells Fargo support HBCUs and their students?
We support them with things that we're doing right now, making sure that we're out on campuses talking to students about their journey and experience. More importantly, we fund programs. I know one of the things, my job actually, is to fund nonprofits to bring programs to HBCUs. And so, and I'll use one in particular, the Society for Financial Education and Professional Development, SFPD, who is also at Morgan State. We give our students those student stipends so that they have money to teach other students about financial literacy and education. And then those students teach other students, and they teach their communities about financial education. Again, financial education is super important, so we pay these students to do that. So not only by the time they graduate are they armed with these skills that you would typically get when you join a bank or you join the financial industry, it's easier for them to have that leg up from folks who are competing right out of school. And so I love that Wells Fargo supports HBCUs in that way. We also have these series. You might have heard of the Beyond College series, or a lot of the classic games that we sponsor to make sure that we bring students together. It's not only for education, but to have fun, because we want to make sure that you know that we're in the game for you and that we support you. It's not just about our reputation, but it's about your development. So we have several development programs, and I want to give you a couple so that you can write down. So if I don't see your phones, you're going to miss out on a couple of these gems. I want you to take down a couple of these, which are internship opportunities that you may want to be a part of. So the Wells Fargo HBCU Summer Internship Program. And this program offers a paid internship opportunity for students who attend HBCUs by giving you hands-on experience in the banking industry, technology, and finance. The Wells Fargo Summer Financial Analyst Program. This program targets diverse students, including HBCUs, providing insight into various areas of financial services through structured internship. Internship programs are super important because you're getting to learn more about the role before you hopefully get into the role so that you can be as proficient as possible. And lastly, the Finance Leaders Fellowship, a leadership development program aimed for students at HBCUs focused on building skills for future finance leadership. If you've heard of the Thurgood Marshall Leadership Institute, Wells Fargo is a sponsor for that as well, and UNCF. And so there are programs that Wells Fargo brings to these conferences to help with your development, to include managing your brand and what that looks like. interviewing, making sure that we have recruiters at those sites, and so that you have an opportunity to do mock interviews and a possible opportunity of securing the bag on the spot. You know, and so I'm proud to work for a company who has all of these initiatives, specifically in HBCUs, who care to students who look like me. It really brings me joy.
And can I just piggyback off of what the James has shared on more a fun side of things? Is anybody familiar with the CIAA? Is anybody familiar with the CIAA? Absolutely. So we do know March 25th through February the 1st, we will have our men and women's basketball conference. So Wells Fargo is one of the national sponsors for this. And what is also involved outside of just basketball, there's a career expo, there's an education day. Ben James will be speaking at the Money Summit. We're talking about legacy wealth building. There's a Fan Fest where there are a number of homegrown vendors, out-of-state vendors as well, that will also be attending. But all you have to do is go to Visit Baltimore and register, because those events, not the games, but the events are free. So there are educational opportunities that are right at your fingertips, right at your back door, and it's just a matter of you taking that time out to register. So please make sure you take the time to go to Visit Baltimore, look for the Fan Fest, and get registered, and come and attend some of the events that we're actually having.
Thank you both for that. Please, I hope that you all have taken notes and that you're going to attend some of these events. I also had to shout out Miss Glory in the room. Wave your hand, Glory. So Glory is my second HBCU intern that I've been able to bring on at my job at Kiva. And now this young lady also has a summer internship with Wells Fargo. So I'm so excited about her. Congratulations, Glory. It takes us being in these places and spaces of these organizations to make a change for everyone out in this room, especially those who look like us, where these opportunities were typically not available to us at some point. My closing question to the panel. Now, in this room, we have so many brilliant students, and not everybody is going to be on the track of finding a corporate job. For my entrepreneurs who are here, what insight would you give them on building a successful business, and what is they being limited to partner with Wells Fargo?
All right, so entrepreneurs. Most of my career with Lyndsae, we spent a lot of time helping consumers, business owners, you know, in the vein with whatever their issues were. We were problem solvers, and we've seen a lot of entrepreneurs who came to the room and they didn't know what. So first, making sure that you determine what are you gonna be, whether it's a sole prop, if you're doing an LLC, a corporation, what is it that you want to be, and do you understand the benefits to each of those categories? Are you going to take on all ownership and being a sole prop and doing something under your social, you know, apply for EIT, open up a corporation, etc., that you do your research about what your entity is going to be, first and foremost. Secondly, are you doing something just for the money? It's this story that I love sharing every time I have a happy audience, and it's about this guy who's working on the railroad. And he works on this railroad for 20 years, and he's visited by this guy in a limousine. He gets into the limousine, and he's with that guy for 15 minutes, and then he leaves, and everybody on the railroad's like, who's that guy? And he's like, oh, we started the railroad 20 years ago. And it's like, yeah, but who is he? He said, oh, he's the CEO. You didn't know that? He was like, he's the CEO of the railroad. Well, why aren't you the CEO of the railroad? Y'all worked together 20 years ago. And he said, well, 20 years ago, I came to work for a paycheck. And 20 years ago, he came to work for the railroad. So if that went over your head, 20 years ago, this guy came to work for a purpose. He came to work for what he was passionate about. A lot of entrepreneurs fail because they create things that they're not passionate about. They create things because they think that there's just dollar signs there, and that thing fizzles away because they're doing something either that's trendy, you know, or that they don't have the capacity to control. So I would ask you to think about what it is that you want to lead, and that it is something that you can commit to, that you can work for, You know, not because you're trying to make a dollar, but that you work for it because you enjoy doing it. And then lastly, that you develop a business plan. Wells Fargo used to have Wells Fargo Works for Small Business, where it allowed you to create a business plan, to create your marketing plan, and to also look for what competitors you have in the area. We have something similar on our Wells Fargo Small Business website that you can go to that will help guide you through those steps. You have to have a business plan or a proposal, a white paper concept. If you are a nonprofit and you are coming to us for funding, you need to have a concept paper and what it is that you want this funding to go towards, and that you're sharing your story and why your idea, why your company is so impactful, and you feel like it's going to be great for a bank to invest in. Those are some things that I will have you take away so that you're making it easier for yourself. Entrepreneurship isn't easy, but entrepreneurship is worth it if you're doing it for the right reason.
And the only other thing that I would like to add to that is make sure you're uncovering the necessary resources that are available. There are a number of business cohorts. When I say this is a queen of business consulting, I've had an opportunity to attend a number of her classes. There are folks that are there that are willing to hold your hand. We also have the Greater Baltimore Urban League, the Black Restaurant Accelerator Program. Make sure you're looking for those programs that will walk you through the process. There's someone out there that knows what you don't know, but you've got to make sure that you do the research. I don't want to say you have to do the work. You're going to have to do the work, but you got to know how to do the work. I mean, you can't manage a business if you can't manage your own personal finances. You cannot know the season of a business unless you know the business has a season. You cannot purchase products unless you know, do I have enough money to purchase the product, and then when I sell the products, am I going to make enough money off the product to replenish myself? There's so many of us want to say, I just want to open a business. I'm going to go ahead and sell t-shirts. There's so much more involved. To me, an entrepreneur is like someone walking on a tightrope with no nets. You never know what that next step is, but there is resources that can teach you, guide you, direct you, develop you. You don't have to be on this island alone. My thing is, each one teach one. Reach out. There's someone there that's there to support you and help you on your business journey.
Thank you both so much. Please, let's give our panel a round of applause. Thank you both so much for your insight, your expertise, your time, and your energy. If they don't appreciate you, I appreciate you. Thank you all again for being in this room. Thank you again to the Venture President team, and I hope that you guys have something that you can walk away with. Thank you.
All right, let's give a one more round of applause, Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, and thank you for our amazing host, Ms. Lyndsae. And we gotta do a shout out to, because one of the HBCUs wasn't present earlier when we shouted out HBCUs, Ms. Traci. North Carolina Central in the house. All right, so what's next on the agenda? Right now,